except for it was a good scene.
I mean, are you looking for it to be a huge camp-out type event where you want people to, like, you're
I
looking
don't
for
know.
half
See,
a million
the thing
people
what we've
to
got
show?
to, thing what we've not got to do is to frighten whichever area we're going into thinking they're going to get a Woodstock. So let's say we're going to have a small peace festival and see what happens,
Let's say
because
something else,
because if we start saying it's going to be Woodstock,
then everybody
they're
has
going
some
to say
prejudice about it.
the locals are going to get up petitions and that. So let's say we're having a nice,
Meeting.
with a crowd we can control, and in 6 months' time we'll see what happens.
Will there be more Beatles records coming out soon?
There's a Beatles album coming out in January, which we finished a few months back. That's the next thing, and a Beatle film.
Which Beatles album? What is this? Original, new?
Yeah, Get Back. It was the one that was scheduled for before Abbey Road, but now it's after it, to tie it up with the film, which is a documentary of us suffering making the thing.
Why suffering?
Where we were going through hell. We often do.
How? And I don't understand.
Well,
to most people, it looks like, wow, it's so great, the four of you just get into a studio and you make music.
It's
I
torture.
mean, all artists go through suffering.
It's torture
don't they? I
every
mean,
time we produce
to
anything. I mean,
create
any
something.
artists, poets, or anything, whatever you call yourselves, listening, know what it's like. Well, the Beatles haven't got any magic. You haven't got. We suffer like hell every time we make anything,
I mean, they're flesh and blood, it's that bit.
and we got each other to contend with. Imagine working with the Beatles, man. It's tough scene.
Whose songs will be on the album?
Get Back one. Oh, well, it's so sort of old. I don't know. It's all of us,
Awful,
I mean, we've done. There's all. It's a strange album, It's like unfinished. We never finished it. We started off with this intention of doing a TV show or something, and it went on and on and on, and we didn't really want to do it. And Paul was hustling for us to do it, and we didn't really want to do it. We never did it, and we never finished the album. So we put out we never quite finished the songs. We put it out like that, and there's bits of us mumbling and chatting and singing old rockers and all sorts of messing about.
But there's a very nice sort of improvised quality
Yeah,
about it.
it's the
just
Beatles
sort of-
with their suits off,
How do you decide as to whose songs get on now that George seems to be
hustle
right?
for it. We hustle for it, and in the old days, Paul and I won. That's the problem. I mean, I don't know personally whether there'll ever be any more Beatle product with the four of us on again. I mean, that's a decision we make every time, but it gets harder because now, in the old days, Paul and I just write most of the songs because George wasn't prolific. We encouraged him to an extent. Subconsciously, we would have just made sure we got the LP for ourselves. So now he is prolific. Now there's three of us all trying to squash ourselves onto that 14 tracks. And then there's the bit about,
Like
you
every
prefer
one
your
of
own
them-
songs,
Every one of them have, say, 30 songs, Then what
So do we make a
about it?
double album every time, which takes 6 months? That's 6 months out of your life just to get an album out. So that's why I broke out with the Plastic Ono bit, and, make my own stuff on the side. I can't wait to get 2 tunes on an album, and the same goes for the others.
Why does it take so long to record, though? Isn't there any way to actually speed that up?
Well, we used to do them quicker, but now, we just like certain sound, so it takes a bit of time, that's all. If you want what you want, you have to take time over it.
Do you know what you want when you go in at all, or you mean you literally work it all out right in the recording studio?
Usually work out in the studio, we usually have some.
But you have songs and all that written already.
Yeah, we haven't. They're usually in quite a finished state, but to get the sound that you have imagined is the hard thing. To put it over, and I usually say things like, "Well, Heartbreak Hotel, this is," and just do it that way. I have some other song in mind to say it's like that. That's what I'm going for. And we always used to do that in the old days. We're trying to tell the EMI engineers in 1960, we want to sound like Bebop Lula. What's that, all that.
Do you get into a lot of actual arguments among each other while recording?
It's not so much arguments, but there's just tension, It's tense every time the red light goes on for a kick-off, And getting 4 of you to groove at the same time is difficult, with any band that goes through that. You get 2 going, and somebody else drops out halfway through and gets paranoid and screws it, And
I mean, it's a tension
we're always
of
going for
creating
perfection,
something.
And that's because you never achieve it, and that's why it takes so long.
When you said you don't know whether there'll ever be any more Beatle product.
Well, there'll be plenty of Beatle product, but about whether we ever get together and do it again, I don't know. Beatle product we got. I mean.
But at this point, there's no plans for the four of you to get together and do something?
No. Well, we've got an album and a film in the can. That'll do. I'm going to try and maybe hustle all or some of them for the Peace Festival.
There are always these rumors that go around all the time that you're breaking up.
Yeah.
Is that true at all, or?
Well, I mean, we've had Ringo's left once, George had left once, for a couple of days or something.
Is that the longest?
Usually,
I mean, I'm sure every group goes through things like that, but because they're in such a limelight, so everything they do, like he just shaved off his beard or something, and that was a big news, and saying, well, why, and what happened and all that.
What, you mean the other Beatles wanted to know?
No, I mean the press.
It gets blown up, I mean, George had an argument with Paul, and in the papers it was that me and George had a fist fight. So it gets just blown out to ridiculous things like the Paul rumour.
Have any of you ever had fist fights with each other? Did it ever get that?
Not ever. I think I once threw a plate of food over George in Hamburg. That was the only violence we ever had between us.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
The other rumor that keeps going around is that now that Alan Klein has sort of straightened everything out, that you're all going to be leaving him.
No. We made no decision on that line. What he's straightened out is the past. Now he's got to hustle for the future. It's been tough on him. He wanted the Beatles for 7 or 8 years, and now they're all sort of going their own way. But he's all right. I believe in everything until it's disproved, and I certainly don't believe all the crap people write about him. Because if I believe that, I believe all the crap people write about me.
Yes, well, I know that I'm all right, and I've, had many things written about me, crap, since this, whatever.
Leading John on the wrong road. He's only gone mental since he met her, but I've been mental all the time, folks.